Alright everyone, right now YouTube is in the midst of a purge slash demonetization spree that will be some weeks or months actually in the making. Apparently, like, it's going to take time to roll out. What happened apparently is that some Verge journalist or something got into it with Steven Crowder and then went crazy and basically put as much pressure as possible on YouTube to expand their definition of what would be against the rules. And once again, it's a story of, number one, I fucking told you so 3 years ago that this would happen. It's been in the most literal terms. Not trying to brag, but just it's like, you know, some people still aren't using alt tech, and I don't understand why, since it takes no effort at all. And number two, it's a case of the rules are never as bad as the malleability thereupon. That is that if you actually look at what's now banned or potentially in that shadowy sort of gray area where it simply never gets recommended to people, they don't get notified of it being made, so that they have to literally go to your channel fucking manually to see what you're doing. By the way, Bitchute link in the description, you should definitely join me there, because I don't know if I fall outside of these rules, and here's why. When I look at this, I'm questioning, for instance, age is listed there, as far as you can't say discriminatory or put people down, supremacy. So is it still all right if I can't criticize, for instance, Bernie Sanders is like 77 years old. On election day he'd be 80. Is it okay for me to criticize the fact that the Democratic nominee could be a geriatric person? Because it's not like saying, well, being old is bad or inferior in some way. It's just I don't feel comfortable having someone there who's, you know, one stroke away from giving us whatever crazy VP candidate happens to be there. Or Biden being, I think, 76. Hell, Trump's age at 72 is a problem a little bit when you think about it. Pence is no spring chicken. I think he's in his 60s. Can I say that? What if someone's criticizing, like, you know, when I analyze geopolitics, like, you know, I'm talking about, like, the Chinese government or the Chinese economy or something. If I criticize just generically China, obviously I'm not criticizing every Chinese person. I'm not criticizing Asians. I'm not criticizing the geography, like the physical composition of China. It's about the government and civic policy thereof. But if I use that word, does that fall outside of the TOS? What about swearing excessively? Like, the other part of this is related to monetizing and sharing and things like that. It's not related to, like, you said fuck, therefore your video gets you banned. YouTube's not doing that. If they did, they'd have to ban most of the platform. It'd be interesting. But it can get you demonetized. Now, when I look at my channel metrics for the last few weeks, there's been a significant, notable drop in new subscribers and viewership. I noted this some time ago. What's been happening is that they were rolling out, apparently, this sort of policy for some time. This is phase 2 of it, and now it's banning people. Like Varg got banned. Alsup, the Golden One, Crowder, and some people like that have been completely demonetized. It's also related to related videos and stuff. Like my videos, people have been noting to me for several weeks now as well, and this is not coincidental, it's the same phenomenon, that my videos don't appear in their recommended anymore. That if they go to one of my videos, it used to be, probably there were several other videos that were similar from my channel there. They're already watching one of my videos. If they're continuing to watch it, they like it and stuff, it's assumed by the old algorithm that they like the content, they might like more of the content. Now, instead, when they go to one of my videos, most of the time, the recommended list has no additional material from me at all. It's Fox News and CNN and stuff like that, because I do a lot of news and political coverage. And so basically, and you're not going to get that in reverse, like it's totally not even-handed. It's obviously anti-independent content creators, because this is happening with people who aren't even political. It's based on the tags, or what they say, or the perceived ideology based on what some machine in a fucking server says somewhere at Google HQ. It's actually fascinating how Google is tying all of these things together. I will give them props for making a very, very complex sort of situation to do this. But I mean, at the same time, YouTube initially, what was it? YouTube was the repository of edgy, out there, weird shit. YouTube was Tourette's guy and Hitler in the bunker sort of things. That was what made YouTube fun and funny, and now, you know, that stuff is being shoved to the sidelines, and the more extreme side of it is simply being banned. Again, I'm not sure why Varg got banned. I assume it was maybe his Pagan Runes video or something. That's another thing. Like, think about other content that would obviously infringe this policy. For instance, Eminem music or something like that. Half of the rap on YouTube. Is Eminem going to get banned off the platform? Because if I look through the catalog of his music, I can find at least a dozen different examples of him objectifying and women and talking about violence against them and how it amuses him and so forth. Even if some of it's tongue-in-cheek, some of it's quite explicit. Like talking about dumping his ex-wife in the river, I believe, and things of that nature. Or him beating women with their own tampons. I can think of some homophobic slurs from his music as well. Is he going to be banned from the platform? Am I going to see Eminem, like if I go around the musical side of YouTube, I blow a gasket, for some reason I start liking Nicki Minaj. Am I ever going to see an Eminem or a Dr. Dre related video? If YouTube's being even-handed, of course the answer is no. I guess even the music will be sanitized. Half of the good rock from the 80s, oh shit. 80s rock, my goodness, objectification of women, yeah, Jesus Christ. I can think of a famous Dire Straits song that uses a certain F word that isn't fuck. Is that going to get kicked off the platform? Because if you kick the Dire Straits off the platform, then you're going to face a bunch of angry Gen Xers. I like the Dire Straits. That isn't even their best song. You know, unpopular opinion maybe to have other than Sultans of Swing. The new rules are so malleable and expansive that like everyone technically runs afoul of it. And by the way, can I ask YouTube something else? I don't have this problem because I saw it coming and purged a lot of my old videos long ago. But let's say that someone has thousands or tens of thousands of videos and they haven't done that. They didn't see this coming. Are they reasonably going to be able to go back through all their fucking videos and find every example of them doing something that falls outside of the new TOS to get rid of it before some spam raid comes along to get them kicked off the platform? The problem is that a lot of people, they just have a lot of content. You know, if you're in that category, you might as well literally just go and click all of your videos. You know, if you select all the videos on your video page, it'll give you the option to select all videos in everything. I would suggest, if you fall in that category, if you have reasonable suspicion that under the far more expansive and again, easily misinterpreted and malleable rules, that some of your videos fall outside of those, I would suggest mass editing them to unlisted. That way you can't get raided or set them to private. Go back through them one by one. Yeah, it's going to take you weeks. Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of shit. Yeah, YouTube shouldn't be doing this, but hey, you can preserve your channel. Or you can just make a new one when it inevitably gets banned for wrongthink. It's very interesting because I can remember the fight against censorship 10 years ago. It's a bunch of liberals, mainly mad at Zuckerberg and people like that for banning war footage that was used within a context of being anti-war. Like, oh, look at what the soldiers are doing. Opposition to banning books, opposition to the government spying on library records, promoting free speech and free expression. That was the liberal thing of 10 years ago. Latter Bush era, early Obama era. Opposition to surveillance. Opposition to cracking down on whistleblowers. The promotion of independent media, of independent commentary online that was displacing, even at that era, the legacy media that they understood was pro-war, was corrupt in every possible way. I look at it this way. Groups like the Sleeping Giants, or Holt, the people, I think that, I don't believe that they're malevolent for the most part. I think that they're deluded. They don't realize that when they promote this same sort of corporate censorship, what they're really doing is being pawns of a bunch of billionaires. They're being pawns of the sort of people that rub elbows with arms dealers all day. Are you really comfortable with yourself for having such beliefs? And do you really think that all the people getting kicked off the platform, Varg, what's he best known for? He has a bunch of kids and he fucking gardens. And he talks about the Wicker Man and shit like that. That's what he's known for. The old style, the old school black metal and political rant days are behind him for the most part. He's gotten mostly away from it. All of a sudden, inexplicably gets banned. By the way, YouTube, thank you very much. I have to do another shout out for his Bitchute now, and he is on Bitchute as Tulian Perspective. I have to do that because it was only a few hours after I made my shout out of him that he got banned, which is like, you know, fuck me. I've probably gained 700-800 followers on Bitchute over the last 24 hours. I'm not surprised. And this has happened before. Each time YouTube does this, incrementally, it screws itself a little bit more and more. And it pushes a bunch of people with a large fan base who are very talented people who used to be very pro-YouTube, myself included. I considered myself just a YouTuber until a few years ago. They push us further away from the platform because the platform, which felt like home after a fashion, that we had brand loyalty to because it's enjoyable. It's a way to put yourself out there and in many cases became part or all of someone's career. It pushes us away. It necessitates putting more time and effort elsewhere. That's simply, it's simply the fact. I don't hate YouTube as a platform. When I see this, it almost makes me cry because I'm thinking, well, I've spent 11 years in this platform and I see it committing suicide, basically. I don't even know what's against the rules under the new hate speech TOS. I don't know what constitutes. You use these vague terms like supremacy or something. How are you going to determine on a case-by-case basis what constitutes supremacy, especially with this laundry list of different things that it can relate to? Noting that political opinion is not on there. I wonder why. Again, are you going to ban all the rappers and 80s metal bands from the platform? Are you going to ban left-wing commentators who have a real... I mean, as far as class distinction goes, they're constantly blaming everything on those who arbitrarily happen to have above a certain amount of wealth. Are they going to get banned? Because, again, it's in the TOS. It's been expanded. And by the way, to any left-wing commentators, the two of you that probably will see this, they're coming for you next. Because you're no friend to a bunch of corporate billionaires. You can call them out all day. Oh, trust me, you'll have your turn at the wheel of censorship. And when that happens, people like me won't be there to defend you, at least on the mainline platforms. Well, I'll be using alt tech. You refuse to use it. You say that Gab is a Nazi site, but you don't even want to go there and sort of diversify the political opinions that are there. So, I mean, it's a bunch of fuckery is what it is. It frustrates me because I like YouTube as a platform. If I didn't give a fuck, I wouldn't be making this video. Say, oh, well, YouTube's going down the shitter, bye. I just, delete my account, I guess, at that point. I tell you what, though, I'm never going to do that. I'm going to stick it out here until it becomes clear that it's impossible to continue, because I either get kicked off, in which case I'll have an account for using YouTube as a jukebox, I guess. That's one thing it's great for. And I'll do that. Or YouTube will make it so that it's impossible to grow the channel, and I just won't put as much effort into it. No, I'm not going to fucking upload 4 videos a day onto a platform that, there'll be no organic growth on. The platform itself will begin to decline if YouTube isn't careful. It's going to alienate too many people. There will come some sort of movement, and it'll be like a MySpace moment, and all of a sudden they'll start hemorrhaging users, and they'll wonder why, and they'll probably blame the evil Nazis or something like that. The real culprit is the legacy media that was never a friend of the tech revolution. These people were hemorrhaging money and fans, and YouTube and similar sites should have locked arms and refused to let them on the platforms and told them to fuck off with their streaming services. And since they're not willing to do that, now it's up to a new generation of tech. It'll take another fucking decade. We'll be halfway through another paradigm shift before that happens. What's happened is that a bunch of liberals are being used as pawns by a bunch of corporate billionaires that sit in back rooms smoking cigars and talking about how they can maximize their profits next quarter. That's really what this is about. And a bunch of legacy politicians have glommed onto it as a wedge issue fucking by a partisan social movement. It's not a partisan issue. Do you or do you not believe the internet should function as a place where people can speak freely? That's the only question you gotta answer. I would hope that the vast majority of people would say, yes, it's not about, should certain groups of people speak freely? No, once you start censoring one group, you can censor them all. Billionaires know this. Don't be stupid your whole life. That's about all. Peace out.